Good morning. That's as exciting as I get. Sorry. You're going to start out with a video that's going to explain what recorders do, and probably better than I would.
Land record recording in the state of Missouri began before the first counties of Missouri were created in 1812. Prior to 1812, land registrars were appointed to maintain the integrity of real estate transactions based on English law. This system was put in place to ensure that the rights of persons who first made claims to property were maintained. Present day, in the state of Missouri, most recorders of deeds are elected county officials. However, in some counties, the responsibilities are assigned to an appointed official, and in others, the functions of the recorder of deeds are a responsibility of the circuit clerk. The recorder of deeds maintains a permanent record of documents such as deeds, a written instrument that transfers title to real property, mortgages, a legal document that is used to pledge real property as security from an owner's land, liens, an encumbrance, charge, or claim upon property, usually to help ensure the payment of trust deeds, taxes, special assessments, or other debts. Releases, a legal document or a clause within a legal document which permits, upon payment of a specific sum, the release of certain parcels of a property from the lien against the property. Plats, the map included with a title policy to show the insured property. A plat is also a plan or chart of a city or town showing individual blocks. Military discharges, a legal military document that is provided to a member of the armed forces to indicate the release from their obligation to serve. Marriage licenses. The recorder of deeds is also the county office responsible for issuing marriage licenses throughout the state. These documents can be researched to determine the history of the land and the chain of title of any property within the jurisdiction of each county. The recorder of deeds offices and the documents they record play a major role within the overall real estate industry. A title deed issued and registered within the recorder of deeds office is significant to all parties who hold or want to acquire the rights to real property. These documents provide a certainty of ownership and are the basis for investment of money in both commercial and residential use each year. Each recorder of deeds office should be considered a primary source for information related to real property chain of title. Given that the documents maintained in the recorder's offices are considered the official source for these records, recorders and/or their employees take important steps to ensure the accuracy of indexed information and make certain that the index is maintained in a meticulous manner. Most documents recorded within the Recorder of Deeds office are considered public records and, as such, they are openly available for public viewing, either in the office or via enhanced remote access. Exceptions to this open availability are documents that are protected by court order or lawful administrative protocol. Such documents include military discharges, which are not openly accessible to the public. The recording of military discharges is done as a service to members of the United States Armed Forces for easy duplication and retrieval of record if necessary. In such cases, additional information may be required from the researcher prior to viewing or obtaining copies of certain recorded information. Previous methods of storing recorded documents included paper in bound books and microfilm. While microfilm is a vital part of today's long-term storage and preservation of documents, modern technology has increased the efficiency of the recorder's offices by allowing documents to be digitized and recorded in minutes. These documents can be searched and retrieved in seconds for viewing and printing copies as necessary. Although every document may not be digitized, recorders throughout Missouri are continually enhancing the quality of their digital indexes by including additional documents by way of conversion projects. Electronic filing of documents, also known as e-recording, has further increased the efficiency of the Recorder of Deeds office. While e-recording provides a standardized method for tracking the progress of documents throughout the recording process, it also helps by reducing the need for unnecessary trips to and from recorders' offices for companies who handle your important land records documents. E-recording also decreases the time it takes to correct mistakes that may periodically occur in the preparation of documents. In addition, e-recording helps businesses meet requirements regarding turnaround times. This results in faster closing times for buyers and sellers. The Recorders Association of Missouri was founded in 1984. The sole purpose of the organization is to ensure that each recorder of deeds in the state of Missouri remains educated on all aspects of recording law and standardized procedures. The continuing education of the recorders and staff by the association ensures that the citizens of each county are always served in an efficient and courteous manner.
Okay, so in a nutshell, that is a lot of the duties that we cover. So now we will look at the numbers. Maybe. Okay. So we covered the duties. There are 9 of us in the office. If you look at the numbers from 2022, we recorded $51,187 million. In comparison with this year's numbers, we have recorded 9,000 documents less this year. Real estate recordings are directly impacted by the economy, so the rise in interest rates will bring down the amount of recordings. Comparing marriage licenses, 1 number difference. So does not matter, pandemic, economy, people find a way to get married consistently, 2,200 marriage licenses a year. Certified copies, this is what's needed to do your legal name change. Prior to 9/11, a woman was able to use her keepsake side of the marriage license. After 9/11, state agencies, federal agencies required a certified copy with the real ID. We've seen an increase in the number of certified copies that we're issuing because you have to prove from your birth certificate to your name change now how you got from point A to point B. So state federal tax liens, this number is a little bit smaller. They decided if it's under a certain amount, they just report simply with the circuit clerk's office and not dual recording in both. Termination and releases of tax liens, copies. We charge $1 a page for copies per statute. We could charge $2. We don't. We also have a subscription in there. All of that goes to general revenue. So in 22, we took in 2.2 million. How much of that did we get to keep? Not a lot. 1.2 actually stayed with general revenue. 176,000 went to reporter's discretionary fund. We'll get into that. We collect a lot of fees for other agencies. It is a dedicated revenue. They know that people are going to record their documents, so they felt safe tagging it onto our recording fees. Children's Trust Fund got 65,000. State got 106. Missouri Housing 153,000. SURF gets 375,000. Domestic violence, 22. Statutory Reporters Fund. This was developed in 2001. And what it is for is the smaller counties that have a joint circuit clerk and recorder. It was to encourage them to split their offices, and it gave those, that split a subsidy to help fund that. We look at the recorder's budget. The only thing that comes out of general revenue are salaries and benefits. Everything else is run from my office from the discretionary funds. Not all recorders do that, but we do here. The equipment line that looks extremely large, that amount has been earmarked for a couple of years now. Part of that money is going to install a waterless fire suppression system in the archives building to protect our historic records that date back to 1833. The rest of that money is going to be provided by the county and ARPA funds. And then the other big chunk of that is digitizing about 900 of my historic books that are not yet done. Okay, so the fees that we collect, every document recorded in real estate is $24 for the first page. That is broken down by Missouri Housing gets 3, SURF gets 7, state gets 2, Statutory Reporters Fund gets 2, my fund gets $1.25 for technology, $2 for microfilm and record preservation. The $3 for each page thereafter automatically goes to general revenue. For marriage licenses, it's $51 for a marriage license. General revenue gets to keep 15 of that. Children's Trust Fund gets 15. Violence Fund gets 10. SURF gets 7. 2 goes to the state and 2 goes to the reporters. Certified copies. Children's Trust Fund gets 7. GR gets the other 2. Tax liens. Full amount goes to GR. Federal tax liens, $9 for a new filing, $7.50 for a termination. SURF receives $6 regardless of which one it is, and then general revenue. Okay, interesting facts. One that is not listed on there, but I find extremely interesting is that Daniel Boone and Abraham Lincoln both lost property in the state of Kentucky due to the fact that they did not keep accurate land records. And this actually happened to Abraham Lincoln twice. They went to court both times. Neither was successful the first time, or not successful the first time, but they were successful the second. But he did end up relocating to the state of Indiana because they offered government land with clear title and paperwork. So land records have been important for a very long time. And actually, Greene County records go back to 1833. And when we were initially formed, we were made up of all the counties of McDonald, Newton, Jasper, Barton, Dade, Lawrence, Berry, Stone, Webster, and Christian counties, as well as parts of Taney, Dallas, Polk, Cedar, Vernon, Laclede, Wright, and Douglas. So we're actually quite large in our infancy. Anyway, 1967 to present, the largest reporting year was in 2003 when we took in 91,240 documents. 2 million of that went to general revenue. In 1980, we repealed the blood test needed for a marriage license. Does anybody know what they were testing for?
If you were late.
Nope. Syphilis. And that was because it was, it could be passed to your child. And so they wanted to test. If you had it, you got treated before you could get your marriage license. So they did away with the blood test, but they kept the 3-day waiting period, which used to be to get the results of the blood test, until 2007. We used to call that the cooling off period. Some people didn't come back. It's not a bad thing. In 2002, we standardized the formatting of documents. Prior to that, anything went. Could be on a half sheet of paper, could be on legal, could be a continuous form, front and back, didn't matter, wasn't specified. In 2002, everything is recorded on 8.5 by 11, one-sided only. Important information is designated on the first page for indexing. If you don't meet the standardization, then it's extra $25. 2007, we were one of the first counties to electronically record documents. Last year, we took in 83% of all documents recorded electronically. This was hard for us simply because we record originals. It's a little harder to tell if it's submitted electronically if it's an original. So that was a learning curve for us, and it was painful. In 2001, a statute was created prohibiting same-sex marriage. That was later repealed in 2015 by a United States Supreme Court ruling that said we would start issuing to everyone. In 2018, this was one of my favorite laws that passed. Minimum age for a license was raised from 15 to 16, still with parental consent. The big part of that was that if you were 21 or older, you could not marry a minor. And that was a good thing. 2018 legislation was passed addressing fraudulent filing of liens, and it has enhanced penalties if the victim is a member of law enforcement or a public official. It went from being a Class D felony to a Class C felony. And in talking about fraudulent filings, you've probably seen in the news where they'll advertise that people can steal your home. It's a little bit harder than they make it seem. But if you'll go on my website, there is a property fraud alert that you can sign up for. What this does is it's an early notification process. You can put in names to monitor, up to 5 different variations. If something's reported, even if it's something that you're aware of, it's going to send you an email. And it's going to say this document was reported. If you know about it, you can ignore it. If you don't know about it, investigate further, and then you can contact them. Anybody have any questions?
Yes. Okay, so my husband retired on June 30th from the Army and has a DD-214. What is the benefit of recording that DD-214? Is it just convenience for us, or so someone else maybe down the line, grandchildren can find it?
Yes, yes and no. A lot of places like veteran cemeteries, to get benefits and so forth, they want a certified copy.
Okay.
A lot of people will lose track of them after 20 years. Okay, it's time. I need to get my benefits. I need to do X, Y, Z, and they can't find it. We have it. It's all done for free. They are closed records now, which they did not used to be, and that was done to protect the veteran. The only thing that means to you is that the veteran or a family member as a representative comes in and they have to fill out a form and have it notarized.
So I can bring his DD-214 and he would not have to do it?
Yes.
I can record that if needed?
Yes.
For free?
Yes.
Okay.
And there are a lot of companies out there. One is called DD-214 Direct, and they are charging, it's supposedly run by veterans, but they're charging veterans a considerable amount of money to file this for them or get copies for them. This is a free service. They can come in, they can do all of it for free. So same thing, if you receive in the mail for $40, I'll get you a copy of your deed. Chances are you have your deed. If you don't, we can get you a copy for $1 a page. So throw that stuff away. Any other questions? Thank you. Yes.
Cheryl, about the digitizing process and where you are as far as digitizing your documents.
Okay. My predecessor had actually digitized a lot of our records, but there were about 900 books that had not been digitized. They were on microfilm. Some of the copies were not wonderful. Some were not there at all. So I hired a company to come in, and they leave books on site. They scan them there, and then they take them back and they enhance them in quality that we are getting from them. This was wonderful. And it puts them at our fingertips. We can get them off the computer. Nobody has to go back in those books. And so it preserves the books as well. Because a lot of times we were calling archives, they used to do releases of deeds of trust. They used to do it in the margin of the book. And so we didn't feel that the deeds of trust were that important. Anyway, they weren't microfilmed. And so archives was having to go back each time we needed some that was out of our, and checking the margins. Yes.
You said 900 books. How many pages did that in the society?
I don't know off the top of my head. Look, who asked me the question. A lot. And in those older ones, there might be more than one document on a page. And so this company is actually going through and masking it and putting those as separate pages. So that's how it
Tens
does.
of thousands.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Hundreds.
definitely. Yes.
You mentioned 83% e-recording in 2022, starting in 07. What did that transition look like from paper recording to 83%? And who is not e-recording?
Well, basically individuals. We do have some banks that still don't e-record. They prefer to mail in. Some attorneys' offices will mail in as well or send a runner. But yeah, most of our title companies are e-recording. The benefit with that is, like you saw in the video, they can e-record it to us. We look it over. This is wrong. It gets rejected. Chances are they can fix it and send it back the exact same day. Whereas if you have a runner, they've got to take it back and then back and forth, and it may not, it's a much quicker turnaround. And they have the recorded copy right now. Yes.
You just mentioned that you look over deeds and say this is wrong.
Correct.
Are you actually reading legal descriptions and verifying that? What are you looking for that would constitute something being wrong?
We are looking for the formatting requirements.
Okay.
So grantor, grantee, signed, notarized, that it has a legal description. We do check to see if the legal description is Greene County, but we don't have time with, if we take in a couple hundred a day, we don't have time to go and check each of them. So that falls to their own.
It does fall. Yeah.
Yes.
Or in the basement.
Yes.
Aside from the large amount of revenue that your office generates for general revenue, you also have your discretionary fund, which you kind of outlined how you get funds for that. I know that you're bound to use those discretionary funds to help take care of systems that serves your clients. But there's a lot of crossover with that, where you've done many projects over the years that also help county. Talk about some of those projects.
A lot of the stuff that we've done would be like with IS. And it's something that benefits my office, but would benefit the county as a whole, like replace switches or purchase servers. Things that actually fell underneath that purview, because it does state record preservation and the running of the office and anything pertaining thereto. And so
I just like to recognize you
Yeah.
because you help out GR immensely, and then you also use your discretionary funds to the benefit of the county as a whole.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.